There's a clear, pungent liquid sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now that costs less than $1, and it can disintegrate black ceiling mold faster than a $30 bottle of industrial biocide. Not a weaker version, and not a temporary fix. The full, cellular-level destruction of the fungi is within your reach. And people have been using variations of this specific acetic acid solution for over 5,000 years to preserve their homes and their health. In the sweltering heat of the Nile Delta around 3000 BCE, Egyptian builders realized that the same fermented grain liquids used for cooking could stop the rot in granary walls. They didn't have microscopes, but they had observation to guide their discovery. They saw that where the sour wine spilled, the dark velvet of decay could not grow. This wasn't folklore. It was the birth of antimicrobial engineering. Across the world, the Roman architect Vitruvius documented similar findings in his 10-volume treatise De Architectura around 15 BCE. He noted that in damp villas near the Tiber River, washing stone surfaces with fermented liquids prevented the foul air from taking root in the plaster. He understood that some materials simply rejected life, and he sought to replicate that rejection through chemistry. By the medieval period, Japanese timber craftsmen in the rainy Kiso Valley were utilizing high-concentration fermented wood vinegars to treat the underside of temple-thatched roofs. They knew that if the moisture from the mountains met the stagnant air of the interior, the structure would vanish in a decade. They created a barrier that was invisible to the eye but lethal to the spore. In the 1700s, British naval surgeons began treating the damp, mold-ridden lower decks of warships with these same acidic washes. They found that sailors in treated berths suffered fewer respiratory agues than those sleeping in the black-spotted darkness of the hull. We are looking at a chronological progression from ancient Egyptian granaries to Roman villas, and from Japanese temples to the high seas of the British Empire. But that's only the beginning of the story. If these kinds of forgotten stories and the practical power they hold matter to you, subscribe and ring the bell. Because this is how knowledge like this survives. The timeline of this $1 liquid becomes even more interesting when the scientists finally caught up to the craftsmen. As we moved into the industrial era, the intuition of the ancients was finally put under the lens of the scientific revolution. In the late 19th century, researchers began to quantify exactly why a simple fermented liquid could outperform heavy metals and salts. In 1910, a series of studies published in the Journal of Biological Chemistry began to map the effect of organic acids on fungal cell membranes. The real breakthrough came much later in 2014, when researchers at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, led by Dr. Howard Takiff, discovered something startling. They were testing acetic acid, the primary component of the liquid in your pantry, against drug-resistant mycobacteria and various fungal strains. They found that a simple 5% solution didn't just inhibit growth, it effectively killed the spores by localized acidification of the cytoplasm. The core scientific principle is beautifully simple. The problem becomes the solution through a pH collapse. At the molecular level, the mold spore is a highly regulated machine that requires a very specific internal balance to survive. When you introduce this $1 liquid, the acetic acid molecules pass straight through the mold's cell wall. Once inside, they release protons that drop the internal pH of the fungus, causing the protein structures to denature and the cell to literally implode from the inside out. Think of it like a Trojan horse. The mold doesn't recognize the liquid as a threat until the acid is already inside the city walls of the cell. While expensive bleach-based cleaners merely white out the color of the mold by stripping its pigment, this acidic approach actually dismantles the biological engine. The bleach is a cosmetic mask. The acid is a fundamental executioner. This convergent knowledge appeared everywhere. In the early 1940s, the U.S. War Department researched low-cost fungal inhibitors for canvas tents and wooden crates being shipped to the South Pacific. They revisited the old-world methods of using concentrated vinegar-based solutions because they were non-toxic to the soldiers but devastating to the jungle rot. Even the British Royal Navy revisited these protocols during the mid-20th century for maintaining historical vessels. They realized that modern synthetic fungicides often off-gassed toxic fumes in enclosed spaces, whereas the ancient fermented solution simply smelled of a kitchen for an hour and then vanished, leaving a sterile surface behind. But what changed, and why did this knowledge almost disappear from your local hardware store? That's when the industry noticed. Think about the economics of a permanent $1 solution. The global household cleaning and mold remediation market is currently valued at over $65 billion annually. A massive portion of that revenue is tied to recurring sales, products that clean the stain but don't actually kill the root, ensuring you have to buy another bottle in 3 months. A $3 permanent solution cannot coexist with a multi-billion-dollar replacement and chemical industry. The suppression didn't happen in a smoky room with a secret oath. It happened through the quiet, relentless force of rebranding and regulatory capture. Industry giants realized they could take the same active ingredients found in common white vinegar, add a blue dye, a thickening agent, and a synthetic fresh linen scent, and mark it up by 1,500%. They gave these products names that sound like military operations to make you feel like you need a specialized pro-grade formula to handle a simple biological issue. Worse yet, many modern building codes and HOA restrictions have been subtly influenced to favor proprietary chemical treatments over traditional methods. They claim it's for safety, yet these commercial fungicides often contain quaternary ammonium compounds that can trigger asthma and skin irritation. They have priced the ancient safe knowledge out of your awareness by labeling it as an old wives' tale, while they sell you the same chemistry in a fancy plastic shroud. If you've watched this far, you already understand more about fungal chemistry than 99% of the professionals who get paid to spray toxic chemicals in your attic. Subscribe and share this with someone who deserves to stop throwing money at a problem that the Romans solved 2,000 years ago. Let that sink in. You are being told to pay for the privilege of using a less effective, more toxic version of what is already in your grocery cart. Think about every square inch of ceiling and drywall in your home. The industry wants you to believe that once the black spots appear, you are powerless without their intervention. They rely on your fear of the black mold label to justify a $400 professional service that often involves nothing more than a pressurized version of the liquid we are about to discuss. Chemistry doesn't care about brand strategy, and the mold certainly doesn't care about the price of the bottle. It only cares about the pH, and we are about to tilt that scale permanently in your favor. Here is exactly what to do, and it's almost insultingly simple. Step 1. Go to any grocery store and buy a gallon of plain distilled white vinegar. You're looking for a 5% or 6% acidity level. It should cost you roughly $2 for a massive jug, bringing your per-use cost down to pennies. Do not buy the cleaning vinegar with added scents. You want the pure, food-grade stuff. Step 2, do not dilute it. This is the mistake everyone makes. They think adding water makes it safer, but the mold thrives on water. You need the full 5% concentration to breach the cell walls. Pour the liquid directly into a standard spray bottle. Step 3, preparation is minimal. Put on a mask, not because of the vinegar, but because you don't want to inhale spores when they become agitated. Step 4, spray the affected area liberally. You want the surface to look wet and saturated, almost like it's been soaked in a thin milk. Do not scrub it immediately. Let it sit for exactly 1 hour. During this time, the Trojan horse effect is happening, and the acid is migrating into the roots of the mold. Step 5, after an hour, wipe the surface with warm water. For stubborn spots, a second application left to dry naturally will create a residual acidic environment that prevents new spores from landing and germinating. Total investment, about $1 for the liquid and 60 minutes of your afternoon. Compare that to a $30 concrobium spray or a $500 remediation visit. To prove this works, look at the case of a homeowner in humid coastal Louisiana who faced a persistent mold issue in a 100-year-old bathroom. After 3 years of using pro-strength bleach cleaners, the mold returned every month. After one thorough treatment with undiluted white vinegar, the ceiling remained spot-free for 2 full years. Roman legionnaires knew it. Persian swordsmiths knew it. Japanese craftsmen knew it. Your great-grandparents knew it. A $65 billion industry depends on you never learning those names or realizing that the solution is sitting next to your salad dressing. This knowledge never disappeared. It was simply priced out of your awareness by companies that benefit from your house being a recurring revenue stream. Nature has never charged a licensing fee for the power of fermentation. The mold is a biological reality, but so is the acid that destroys it. You're now more capable of protecting your home than you were 10 minutes ago. Every share cracks the wall they spent billions building. Every subscription keeps this channel digging deeper into the vaults they thought were sealed forever. The next vault opens soon, and what's inside might be the most quietly suppressed trick of all.